Hello, I'm a colonial period farmer. My time period is the 17th century. In this era, many colonists moved to North America. Some countries that inhabited North America were England, France, Spain, and the Netherlands. Europe was also still an important part of this era. Colonists needed to construct new buildings because there weren't any places to live in yet. Some buildings like inns are still standing today. Just recently, I visited a restaurant in Niagara Falls, Ontario that was built during this era. Now I will discuss some important aspects of architecture. Gardens, inns, theaters, and even palaces were important structures of this time period. In the 1600s, gardens were laid out around public places. The gardens had a wide variety of flowers, and often gardens included paths, statues, and fountains. Inns offered food and drink. People would rent rooms if traveling, and you could even rent a spot in the stable for your horse. In Europe during the 17th century, many palaces existed. A palace is a huge house with many rooms. Noble or rich families owned these homes. Castles and palaces differ. Palaces are not guarded from attacks. Castles are often have guards and even have a turret. Since the New World was emerging in North America, the cowboys didn't have many theaters. However, in Europe, many theaters existed. The theaters was a place where people performed music, plays, and poetry reading. Many different types of people attended. Sometimes even kings or queens of the nation would attend. Many people left Europe at this time for economic reasons, or because they were not happy about being ruled by royalty. In Europe, nobility existed. Noble families had a coat of arms. They were made to show how great families were. Coats of arms were displayed on flags, banners, and tapestries. Some important inventions used during the 17th century are the muskets, lenses, springs, and weather instruments. In the 1600s, electricity was not yet invented. Many devices worked on sparks from flint, gears, and springs. Muskets were a type of gun used. The musket needed to be rested on a support to fire, and they took a long time to reload. Musket shots were started with sparks. Lenses are curved round pieces of glass. They were made to make objects look different when you look through the lens. Microscopes make small things look larger, and telescopes make them look even larger. These inventions helped further science and exploration. Springs had a huge impact on devices in the 1600s. They were used in clocks and guns. They were even used as shock absorbers in buggies, then main form on transportation at the time. Meteorology advanced during this time period because of the invention of new weather instruments. One instrument was the thermometer. The thermometer was used to measure temperature. The barometer was also invented. A barometer measures air pressure. With this invention, the first weather station was created in the 1650s. Today, checking the news for weather report is still a good habit. Some important occupations during this time period were actresses, courtiers, guards, printers, and blacksmiths. Printers in the 1600s have created the first newspaper. This was done by putting blocks with letters on a tray and then spilling ink on it and then pressing a piece of paper on the blocks. A famous American printer was Benjamin Franklin. Being a blacksmith was also an important job. Blacksmiths made metal items and fixed metal items. They did this by melting metal into a mold, then letting it cool. They also used hammers and chisels to fill in the cracks. Dress during the 17th century was much different from what you would wear today. Girls always wore dresses and boys had a choice of a few different outfits. In the 17th century, no one had electricity or even many inventions to make life easier. In the modern era, electricity and many other innovations make our world a much different place to live and work in.